This presentation begins by exploring an emerging reality in Canadian public discourse, a growing disconnect between how Canadians feel about the economy and what the economic indicators actually show. Despite strong fundamentals, widespread negativity persists, fueled more by rhetoric and selective narratives than by data. Here we outline how perception, emotion, and political messaging shape Canada's economic conversation far more than the statistics themselves. Is it true that Canadians' overwhelmingly negative feelings about the economy are largely unfounded and driven more by rhetoric and misinformation than by real economic fundamentals? The evidence says yes. While many believe Canada is in decline, indicators such as wages, employment, and growth remain solid. The gap between perception and reality is now so wide that economists describe it as a narrative recession rather than an economic one. Here we examine the economic fundamentals that contradict the overwhelmingly negative public mood. Unemployment remains historically low, real wages have begun to rise again, and key sectors like manufacturing, services, and natural resources show renewed momentum. GDP data indicates stabilization and improvement, making clear that the pessimism dominating public sentiment does not reflect the underlying health of the economy. This slide focuses on the mismatch between public emotion and economic data. Surveys from the Bank of Canada show that Canadians consistently underestimate economic strength and expect worsening conditions even during periods of recovery. International comparisons from the OECD confirm Canada's stability relative to other G7 countries. This persistent pessimism has become a defining feature of the post-pandemic mindset. Political messaging plays a central role in shaping negative perceptions. Opposition narratives regularly rely on crisis language, words like broken, collapsing, or worst ever, regardless of the underlying data. This rhetorical strategy amplifies fear, anger, and frustration, influencing public sentiment more strongly than long-term indicators. The result is a political environment where emotion overshadows evidence. Media ecosystems, especially social platforms, amplify the negativity gap. Outrage-oriented content performs better algorithmically, and viral anecdotes often overshadow broader economic realities. Sensational headlines frequently exaggerate or distort underlying reports. As a result, the most dramatic interpretations of the economy spread faster and farther than balanced, data-driven analysis. This slide explains why Canadians continue to feel financially strained even as inflation cools. The emotional and psychological impact of the inflation shock lingers far longer than the price surge itself. Households continue to feel squeezed because frustration, stress, and anger endure even after conditions improve. Economists now describe this phenomenon as psychological inflation, an emotional lag that keeps pessimism high despite stabilizing prices. We conclude that Canadians' negative perceptions are not an accurate reflection of Canada's economic fundamentals. Instead, they stem from political rhetoric, selective narratives, psychological carryover from inflation, and amplification through media ecosystems. A clearer understanding of the data reveals a Canadian economy that is far stronger than the public mood suggests. The Bank of Canada's Consumer Expectations Survey provides insight into the gap between economic data and public sentiment. The OECD's economic outlook situates Canada's performance within global trends, offering international context. Statistics Canada's GDP and labor force data supply the core indicators showing stabilization and improvement. The IMF's World Economic Outlook adds global macroeconomic comparisons that help explain why pessimism in Canada exceeds what fundamentals support. Viewers can pause here to view the full citations and follow links to the source material. For more fact-based content about Canadian politics, democratic health, economic trends, and rhetorical analysis, the Facts for Canadians platforms offer ongoing resources and educational material. These outlets aim to strengthen public understanding, improve media literacy, and support evidence-based democratic engagement.